Get the best blankets and gifts ever and save 50% this season with the promo code ZONE50. Shop online at MickeyCouture.com or visit any of their 6 locations. DJ, PK, and we're joined now by Riley Jensen. Riley, good morning.
My guys, what's happening?
Well, Kalani isn't going to Penn State. He's staying at BYU. That is clearly the big news. And it made me think as they, invest and we see all kinds of stories out there about, just massive numbers. It made me think Riley's not just a former Snow College and Utah State quarterback, is usually what we talk about. But for one spring, you went to BYU, competed for the starting job. You didn't get it. And you told us, Norm Chow understood when you moved on because you wanted to go somewhere where you could play. But what BYU football looked like then and what it looks like now, like nobody then would believe now. I don't know that any of us would, but especially if you were there walking around in the facilities with those coaches in that era. And I get the whole sport has changed, but does it blow your mind?
Yeah, there was still a part of BYU that was coming off the Cottonwood Bowl at that time, and it was a big time feel, about as big time a feel as you could have for BYU at that time, and I still think they would be blown away. And so I don't think that there's any question that the amount of money that's in the program, the amount of success that's happening in the Big 12, and some of the different things that are going on are huge. I will tell you this. 2 of my most impressive teammates at BYU when I was there were Kalani Sitake and Aaron Roderick. And so it's one of those things where I'm not surprised. These guys were playing big-time football even back then, and I'm not surprised that their discipline, that their personalities, their work ethic is translating to this kind of success at BYU.
We saw some national reports that BYU is going to give an extra 10 to 15 million available for NIL, and that's above what the university is allowed to pay. That's $20.5 million. That is through all sports. So, and most of it obviously does go to football. And in your experience in talking with high school kids and signing day being upon us and all, what do you think is a deciding factor if you're listing the reasons as to why a young man chooses a school as far as the financial compensation is? Where do you put that in the pecking order of level of importance for the young men that would be considering signing with BYU?
Well, I think it's super important to 5-star athletes and 4-star athletes. I think your 3-star athletes are excited about the possibility of what could happen, and there's some schools that don't have as much money that they're basically dividing this into like, look, this is what the slot is, and this is what you're going to get paid if you're the starter. We're giving you the opportunity to earn that money if you're a starter. But BYU with, and we saw this with Lane Kiffin with what the extra $25 million that LSU is going to pay for their NIL. What we're seeing is that they're going to be able to go out and offer like big time money to big time recruits. And so it's a game changer. And I think now that we've had a couple of years in the Wild Wild West, or 3 years in the Wild Wild West of all this money, schools are starting to figure out that, hey man, if we can pay premium prices at these positions and in these places, we can land some big time recruits. And I think it's a game changer for BYU right now. I mean, you look at some of the players that they've been able to bring over, even from the University of Utah. I think the key to NIL is being able to poach like what you need for next year from other schools. And so I think it's a big deal. And I think Kalani realizes what a big deal this money is, and that he's going to be able to compete on a national level with the amount of money that they're putting into NIL.
So I'm curious if the best way, if you get a bump, any school, I mean, it's BYU in this case, but you get a bump, is it best to spread that money around the second and the third string if you're really good at developing people? Because the more people you have who you think are pretty good with a chance to develop, the more likely you are to hit, right? It's like having a deep farm system in baseball. Or is it about, hey, now that you have this money, impact player at quarterback, impact player at left tackle, impact pass rusher to disrupt the other team's quarterback in their passing game? How would you handle that? Would you spot it on 3 or 4 key positions, or try to build depth across the roster, especially if you were good at bringing those players along?
Well, I personally feel like, I mean, you've always got to spend money on a quarterback. You've always got to spend money on some playmakers and then a left tackle. But I think where you can really make some hay is at D-line and on the offensive line, where maybe there's a school, you know, and I don't know what the exact numbers are, but let's say that there's a school that's offering $200,000 to a really good offensive line prospect, and you're able to come in and pay him $300,000. He maybe doesn't start, but he brings tremendous depth and really, really good talent to those positions. Because I still believe, I really still believe that, these skill players and guys like Bear Bachmeier that are going to be really, really good for the school for a few more years are really a big deal, but it's still won in the trenches. I mean, BYU's playing good football because they have a really good defensive line. Their offensive line has totally played better than what I thought they were going to play this year. And you win it in the trenches. When I'm watching a game, I'm watching the first few series to see what's going on with the offensive and the defensive line, and that's going to give me a really good indicator about who's going to win the game. And the perfect example of that is when BYU is playing against Texas Tech. When I was watching that game, I was like, this could be a long day, because right now that D-line is winning and that offensive line for Texas Tech is winning, and that doesn't bode well for you. So I think maybe it's a combination of both. I'm positive that these college teams are now talking to pro teams to ask them how they kind of divide up their money and what percentage is allocated to each position and those sorts of things right now, because you can do the same thing that pro teams are doing on a smaller scale in college. And so I'm sure there's been some conversations with Andy Reid and what he thinks, and some different people that BYU coaches are connected to in the NFL to find out the best way to spread this money. And they've probably already been doing that on a smaller scale. Now they're going to be able to do it with even more money, and that makes you feel good if you're a BYU supporter or fan, that, man, they're going to be able to allocate money to different positions to help out.
I know you know a lot of people. I'm wondering if you got any involved in conversations about Kalani possibly leaving to go to Penn State. At the press conference, I learned that, quote, it came down right to the buzzer, meaning that, it was touch and go as far as him staying, him going. Obviously, he stayed. I'm wondering if you got involved in that process to find out what was going on.
I tried really, really hard. The 3 people that I know pretty well on the staff were amazingly tight-lipped. And I try not to push too hard. I'm in this part-time. I was only interested in, how it affects them and their families, but they weren't even budging with me. And so from other people that I've talked to that have been able to, it was definitely touch and go. And on let's see, what is today? Wednesday. I heard on Monday like it was a done deal. He was going to Penn State, and then somehow, not to use religious terms, but there was some sort of Hail Mary that was made to be able to get Kalani to stay.
I think of that as a Roger Staubach term. So,
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord be with thee. Blessed art thou.
No, that's not Roger Staubach right there.
That's the prayer. It's an actual prayer.
I know it is.
Did you ever recite it?
Maybe.
I have many times.
I had a kid in the dumb class. We've heard all about it.
It feels like it's kind of worked for you, PK.
Oh, I've needed several Hail Marys in my life. Hail Marys, Bloody Marys, you name it.
I'm just saying, I know Jackie, and I know that was a Hail Mary for you. So,
the Lord was with thee.
All right, speaking of Hail Marys, Saturday morning, there's a little game that's going to kick off at 10 a.m. What do you expect in a rematch? How different will the rematch be than the first game?
Or
how similar?
I've been thinking about this a lot. Number one, LJ Martin was not healthy at all. In fact, in that game, I think he played for his teammates. I don't think he should have played. I don't think he could run the way that he could run in that game. I think that's going to be a difference. BYU simply cannot have 67 yards rushing again and win this game on Saturday. They've got to establish some sort of a run game, some sort of ability to hit some seams, and they've got to come off ready to go on the offensive and defensive lines if they're going to pull off the win in this game. Now, I do think that psychologically it's really, really hard to win 2 games in a row against the same team. So I think that bodes well for BYU. They've got to establish some sort of run game like I was talking about. And then, they've averaged almost 200 yards a game rushing during the year. To have 67, they've got to double 67. They've got to be in the 125 to 150 yard range in rushing. And then in the passing game, they had about 180, and he's been averaging about 220. I think he's got to be at least at his average or maybe a little bit more in the passing game. And then Chase Roberts, Parker Kingston, Cody Hagan, I really feel like wide receivers, when it comes to football, they're kind of like dunkers in basketball or three-point shooters in basketball, where if they can make a big play or if they can make some sort of, play that has a lot of heart in it or a big catch, that can be something that swings momentum BYU's way. And so look for those guys. They didn't make the normal plays that they made all year long in that Texas Tech game. And so look for BYU to try and get those guys going a little bit early, try and get LJ Martin going a little bit early and see if they can't, break through with some individual plays that really build momentum and confidence for BYU to start the game.
So the Devils beat them, the only team to administer a loss to Texas Tech. If you were an offensive coordinator, the statistics that they had offensively were better than anybody else had all season because the Tech defense was really dominant. How much would you look to see? Could you possibly recreate what ASU did in order to win that game a couple of weeks back or several weeks back?
Oh, I think you look at that statistically and you're like, okay, what did they see? What was the timing of what they called? Why were they able to move the ball? I think part of it was because of Sam Levitt. I mean, he's a really, really good player. I also think there were some looks that Texas Tech threw at Bear Bachmeier that was the first time that he was really challenged as a freshman, where he looked a little bit confused. I can remember him looking at the little iPad and asking a lot of questions. I think he's going to be a lot more prepared this week than maybe he was in that game. They threw some looks at him that I know confused him, and there was parts of the game, and I don't think this is a bad thing, and I don't think that I'm being critical here, but there were parts of the game where Aaron Roderick was actually telling him where to throw the ball. And that becomes really, really hard on an offensive coordinator, because if you have to tell the quarterback where to throw the ball, you better be right. And Bear was enough confused in that game that that Aaron just said, okay, we're going to run this play, you're going to look it off, and you're going to throw the dig right here, and it's going to be open. And there were some times where it was open, and there were some times where it wasn't. But that's what they had to resort to pass the ball. And so I think Bear will be much more prepared mentally that this team can do some different things. And I feel like Bear is a really, really intelligent quarterback who wants to learn. And I think because of that, he's going to be more prepared for this game. Now, I'm not necessarily predicting a win for BYU. I really hope that they do, because I think it's the only way that they get into the playoff. But they are going to play much better in this game than the 27-9 result of the first game.
That game was November 8th. Think back to your playing days. And maybe it's different now. Maybe there's so much more video now. But
October?
How much?
What game are you talking about?
November 8th, Texas Tech, BYU.
Oh, you're talking. I thought you were about the ASU game.
How much can you improve as a football player in a month, especially a quarterback?
Well, I think he has improved. I mean, over the year. I mean, you just think about his first three games compared to the way that he's playing now. He's improved a ton. I think the biggest thing that could be a possibility is to like how he feels. I don't know how he's been banged up all year. He plays a pretty physical game. My guess is that he's a little bit more healthy, and when you get more healthy as a quarterback, it can really improve your game. And so I think he's probably in a rhythm. I think he also knows a little bit more what to look for, and this will be an interesting step in his growth because, like I said, playing a team for the second time is difficult, but it's also going to be really, really important to his progress that he's ready for the different scenarios that Texas Tech threw against him, for the different scenarios that maybe Arizona State was able to be successful in. And so I think I do think you can improve every single week. It may not be in the yardage or in the stats, but it might be in third downs or in the red zone that he's a little bit more efficient, and that can be really, really big when it comes to the games.
Yeah, the thing that I want to see is them take shots because they're a double-digit underdog, and I felt like it was a little on the conservative side. Let's play not to make a mistake on offense, and I don't know if you can do that. I think you're going to have to just be aggressive, and if you make mistakes, well, maybe you're going to lose anyway, but in my mind, go down. If you're going to go down in a more aggressive fashion than what we saw the first game.
That really surprises me, coming from you, that you think that you should go down swinging.
Yeah, I'm 100% with him.
I have a feeling.
I'm 100% with him, Riley. I mean, you're not going to drive 12 plays on these guys. They're really good. So when you get a chance to make a big play, go for it.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, if there's anything I know about
Patrick Kinahan, right? Yeah.
He's going to be scratching the inside of his coffin. He's going to be so upset that he's passing away on us. But I totally agree with you. They got to take the shots. I think they're going to be able to take a few more shots because LJ is more. He is so much more healthy at this point than when they played the first time. And I think that just sets up some of the play action and some of the things that you want to do when you want to take shots downfield. So yes, I think that's what I was hinting at a little bit when I was talking about the receivers being big play receivers and making big plays. They've got to take those shots and they've got to land a few of them, right? And I think that can really change the momentum of a game and the confidence of a team when your wide receivers are making plays like that. So it's going to be interesting. I agree. You need to be a little bit more aggressive. I totally agree with you guys that they buttoned down the hatch a little bit and they're playing a little bit safe in that first game. And I really don't think they have anything to lose.
Right.
I mean, I think they know win and you're in, lose and you're out. I mean, I think that's the way that it looks right now. So you might as well go for it.
Yeah.
Riley, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Love being on the show. Thank you.
Riley Jensen, former Aggie quarterback, joined us right here on the Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Tim Brando joins us. Top of the hour, we will talk with the longtime college football broadcaster, currently with Fox Sports. You see him calling games. We'll talk with him about the college football playoff, the Utes at 15, the Cougars at 11. And, man, there are all kinds of inconsistencies and things that are irritating schools all over the place.
Oh, I think he is going to be, as they say, on fire. Tim Brando, right?
Top of the hour.
You think he's any relation to Marlon?
No.
Oh, okay.
Hadn't really occurred to me, so I never thought that. Now that you mention it, we'd better check that out and ask him. Seventh cousin, 3 times removed.
I never understood that.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.